Welcome back to the Unstuck movement. I'm your host, Rob Z. Today we have the amazing Billie Jo Brooks with us on the podcast. Billie Jo, I'd love to kick these episodes off with a question. Questions lead to great answers that lead to big breakthroughs in our lives. And you've had a big breakthrough with the platform, the nonprofit that you've created, the Soul Survivors Memorial Fund. I wanted to know, how did personal losses in your life shape your vision to create this fund for others?
So last year, I actually attended the Blair County Leadership Program. So I'm going to graduate 2023. During that time, we saw all the different nonprofit organizations that are all over Blair County that are helping everybody, which led me to think about the fact that, years ago, the Lord planted a vision in my head about starting a nonprofit organization for kids that were just like me. So when I was 7 years old, I lost my dad to suicide, which left my mother to raise my sister and I as a soul parent, which is where the name came from. So Soul for Survivors, okay, if you ever go onto our website or see our logo or anything like that, you're going to notice that there's a number 1 that's on there. That 1 stands for the one that was left behind. So the good Lord gave me that vision years ago, and I wanted to go ahead and come to fruition. So I started about October of last year. So it didn't stop there though. So after seeing that and realizing that, now was the time that the good Lord told me that I was supposed to do this, I started in October last year getting everything ready. I came up with the design for the logo, got started with the website, filed all the paperwork to get us an LLC, there's a long list of stuff that needed to be done. So now that everything is complete, I went and I started it because, not only did I lose my dad whenever I was 7, which left me behind. I'm the oldest of all of our children. I'm the first one to graduate from high school. I wanted to attend college. However, being that, my dad had passed away, I knew that my mom was a single parent, sole parent. I didn't know what that meant back then, but, I knew that it was going to be hard for her to do that because of the fact that college is expensive. I mean, who can afford that anymore? So the fact that, she was already working 3 jobs just to keep a roof over our head and food on our table, I, thought there's no way that I'll ever be able to do that. Well, thankfully we were able to find the means to do that, but then it didn't stop there. So when my kids were 12 and 15, my ex-husband had an unfortunate accident, and we lost him. He was not only one of my great friends. I mean, yes, we weren't married at the time, but you know what? He was a great parent. We co-parented very, very well. We shared the responsibility. So if he needed something, I would, say, hey, I'll take the kids for that weekend or vice versa. So when I lost him, I lost a great means of support for me, not necessarily financially, because it wasn't about the money to me. It was more about, the support that I got from that parent, so when he died in that accident, it left a gaping hole there. So literally my son was 15, about to become 16. We already had plans on working on getting a car for him together. I ended up having to sell my Mustang at the time, which was my dream car, in order to get him a car, which was fine. I'll do whatever you need to do for your child, right? So anyway, I experienced that loss whenever my kids were 12 and 15, which left me to raise my kids by myself with, thankfully I did have support from his family. They were able to help me watch the kids and things like that. But as you may or may not know, yes, they receive Social Security benefits. However, those Social Security benefits do not stop. They stop at the age of either 18 or whenever they graduate high school. There's nothing left over for them to go to college. So when my kids wanted to go to college, there's nothing, obviously this was a surprise for all of us. I didn't really have anything set aside, for them to go to school. After that happened, though, in 2017, unfortunately, my sister also experienced loss. She ended up losing her husband to brain cancer, which leaves her with 2 children also that she's got to take care of. A son who's about to graduate high school right now. He graduates next month. He has actually had the opportunity where he was able to go to CPI because he's over in Belfont, and he is doing the heavy equipment operator. And then I've also got a niece who's going to be going to college in another couple of years. So again, there's nothing for them after that. So going through that Blair County Leadership Program, it made me think about, you know what, how could I give back, to people that were just like me, because that's something I saw a need and I wanted to fill it. So, thankfully, like I said, the Lord gave me the vision again. He just kind of prompted it and said, hey, I told you I wanted to do this a couple years ago, but now's the time. So I started it back in October, and now I'm publicly launching it with you. So I haven't even specifically said this to anybody yet, so it has not been advertised at all. So I literally just started this in the beginning of January, and you are the first person that's going to be able to tell everybody about it.
Wow, what an honor. Thank you, Billie Jo. My
Welcome.
goodness. And so before we go any further, I just want to say, this is the Unstuck movement. These stories are true testimonies of breakthrough to help you break those chains that are holding you back in your life. And that's why I wanted to have you on here, because you have an amazing story that you've already kind of told, and there's more to tell. I got a shout out to the sponsor who makes it possible, the Connected to Leaders Academy. Check out connectedleadersacademy.com. And so people know more about you, just a short intro. Billie Jo Brooks is the founder and manager of the Soul Survivors Memorial Fund, dedicated to providing scholarships to children who have lost a parent. Her life's work is inspired by her personal experiences of loss and driven by a commitment to support educational opportunities for bereaved children. And at what age did you first get the vision from God that you were supposed to do this?
So I started following Jesus probably about 2017 when I originally started my insurance agency. So a couple of years after that, after attending, I actually went back through some of my journals through the Sunday services that we've been in, and it was back in 2019 whenever I originally got the vision. And then several years later, is whenever it's come to fruition. I mean, it's all in God's timing, so it's not mine.
And I know you personally, so I know that you're a very busy woman with your own insurance company. And so being able to do this on the side is incredible. And also just to me shows the passion, the desire to do this, and the purpose that you have behind it, right? That this is something that had to be done and you had to create. And I just want to honor you for that as we, start off on this episode. But I'm curious for yourself, as you've gone through this journey of creating the Soul Survivors Memorial Fund, how has it helped to heal your heart? And how has it, if you've experienced that already in creating this?
I am excited to see what it's going to do. So I know as a kid, I know the feelings that I had whenever I thought that there was no hope that I was going to be able to go to college, because I'm like, there's no way. You're almost fearful to say something to your parents, or whoever your guardian is at the time, because you know that it's going to be difficult for them, So I am excited to be able to actually help them. My hope is that someday I'm going to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to give you a full ride. I'm going to be able to pay for all of your schooling to a child that so deserves it, because not everybody has that opportunity. I'm so excited about that, and I long for that day. Because there's some day that whenever I can do that, it'll fill me with great joy to do that.
Yeah, to change a kid's life, to change a family's life, to be able to be the person who did
Right.
that.
And
And
it
go
doesn't
ahead.
necessarily have to be college either. I mean, obviously the trades are something that are still needed, so whether it's a small business school, or, maybe they're going to be an electrician or a welder or what have you. I mean, any type of school, whatever they want to do, because, I don't want them to be hindered. I want them to be able to go, forth and prosper.
One of the main themes of this podcast that comes up again and again is this concept of making your mess your message. Like the thing that was really a mess in your life becomes a message that you help other people with, which clearly you just described that, right? That you're changing the course of all of this to create a message for others. And because that journey is different for everybody. And the way that it happens is different for everybody. How are you able to get through those difficult times of losing your father back many years ago, and then losing your co-parent with your kids,
Mhm.
right? Losing their dad. How are you able to manage through those times to get to where you are now?
There is a reason for everything. We may not know it right now, but obviously years down the road, there's going to be reasons that'll come to fruition, so you'll know exactly why you went through those hard times. At the time, whenever they're going through them, and you're going to think, oh my gosh, this is just awful, but there's a reason why all of those things happen to lead you to something else, so I look to those, like whenever in my times, whenever I'm rough, I also reach out just like I did today, to my support system, like my pastors, my friends, I call on them whenever, I was having a rough day. I mean, even you, like this morning, whenever I was like having rough, I called, we prayed together, and, even with my pastors, I had them, and my friend Karen, I had her pray with me, because I was, this is huge, for me, so this is, going to break some generational curses off of my family, so this is no longer like the enemy doesn't hold me anymore, this
Mhm.
is done. Like I'm declaring it right now that this is done, this is started. I'm going to help families. I'm like what I'm going to take what the enemy meant for evil and I'm going to turn it to good,
Mhm.
so like it's done. I declare it right now, it's done.
I love it. I declare that with you. It's finished. I'm with you. And generational curses are a real thing. That's a real
Yeah.
thing that needs to be addressed, needs to be taken seriously. Um, that's something that you've seen in your life, those generational curses passed down generation to generation. Is that something that has kind of followed you for a while, that you've been aware of, that you knew you had to break off? How did the concept of the generational curses come in and realize that's what this is that was going on?
Through my journey, of following Jesus and learning more and more about Him, and small groups through my church and things like that. I have learned about the generational curses. I didn't know anything about them. Whenever I first followed Jesus, but as you learn, the more you grow in your knowledge. So I sat down and I thought about it the one time, actually, even after starting this Soul Survivors Fund. I mean, like I said, that the enemy was taking. What was meant for evil and turning it to good. I had that written down in one of my journals, so this was, going to end those curses, like the Lord told me that this was going to happen, and then I got down to thinking, I'm like, okay, so when did it start? And I got to thinking, okay, well, my dad's mother, she lost the father, and so I'm guessing that probably on my dad's side of the family is where I'm gathering it came from,
Mhm.
because most of the women had lost the father of their children. So I don't
Mhm.
want that for my family to continue, for my daughter, to have that whenever, like that comes to, fruition. So I don't want that to be anything that she needs to worry about. So I declare that it's going to be done with me. I'm ending it for all of them. So, when Caitlin has a family or when Cassie has a family or, like any of my children or my sister's children or their children's children, like the generations and generations and generations to come, it's going to end here, and with this, that's going to do that.
Amen. Love
Amen.
that so much. That's so good. What advice would you give to somebody? Because I think so many people throughout life, whether they realize it or not, God's placed something on their heart to do. And sometimes that thing might seem impossible. It might seem insurmountable. As I've seen you and listened to you go through this journey of creating this nonprofit, I heard of all the struggles and the roadblocks that came up, right? It
Hmm.
takes a lot of time to get a nonprofit off the ground.
Hmm.
So it requires a lot of uh, a lot of fortitude to push through, like a lot of perseverance to push through these barriers. What advice would you give to somebody who has something on their heart, but they have no idea, like, how am I actually going to make this thing a reality? Is there
Hmm.
advice you would give them through the process that you've gone through?
Just keep pushing, so if this is something that you are passionate about, don't let anything stop you, so those little things are just going to be like tiny little hurdles, little bumps in the road, so um, something that we always say at our church, grace, don't let that mountain stop you, so it might,
Mhm.
so just push through, so don't let anything stop you.
You turn that mountain into a molehill,
Hmm.
and bring the right people around you too, right? To make the dream a
Exactly.
possibility. It's amazing when you start to put something together, when you have a dream big enough, the people start to show up in your life that help you put the dream together.
Exactly.
And those people start to turn that resistance that you feel into momentum.
Hmm.
And that momentum creates a movement that now that you've created, so you pushed through the resistance to build the momentum to get the Soul Survivors Memorial Fund off the ground. So the momentum is now behind you because the people are going to start supporting you in this cause because of how powerful it is, how important it is, and how necessary it is for our society. And the fact that you're putting kids through college and that's your goal, to help them have a college education or whatever it might be for them, right? I just think that's such an amazing thing to be able to do, because we sometimes do not, many times in life, we do not get the support or the encouragement or feel like anybody even sees us or hears us. So I know through what you're doing, people are going to feel seen and heard. When you went through this experience for yourself, was that something you struggled with, not feeling seen, heard, understood, or supported through the process?
Yeah, like I didn't feel like, well, I mean, obviously, like there's times whenever you don't feel like you're worthy of that kind of thing, like because, you're felt like you're left behind, or, like there's no way that we can have this happen because of XYZ, but, like looking back, that was me making excuses, so, I don't want there to be any reason why these children, like have to make any excuses, like, and even like not just someday, like I want to have more than just, like the scholarship funds, like someday, you know, potentially, like maybe be able to help, like the soul parents that are left behind. Cause I mean, they don't just struggle with the school. I mean, yes, that's originally what, like the vision was for me, but there is other things, like, I mean, I want to have a support system. I mean, I want to work with, whether it be the home nursing, with like the healing patch that they have. So like the kids that go through there, like I want to have a partnership with them, like, and so this way, I can meet the children that are potentially going to be the ones that receive the scholarships at the end of the year, at their school year. I wasn't able to do it this year because I didn't get it done in time, but next year, like I want to be able to give scholarships to at least one or two, like maybe a male and a female, to each local school, whether it be Tyrone, Bellwood, Altoona, who knows, Bishop Guilfoyle, I mean, wherever, like, I mean, but keep it local for now. And then, eventually, who knows, nationwide. Never mind.
And I see like through this, because this platform is wonderful, Soul Survivors, I love the meaning behind it, but I also see for you, like, the power in this is you telling your story, because the reason you created this was because of the story that you have and using that story for good, right? So one of the things I feel like I'm supposed to help you with is like crafting that story, telling the story, getting that message out. Why are you, of course it's an amazing thing, but the why behind it, the story behind it, your personal journey behind this is where the impact is. And I didn't know this about you, Billie Jo. We've known each other for years. I didn't know this story. So it's amazing, like, to hear this journey that you finally got into this place, that you're going to make this something that becomes a legacy for you.
Yep, exactly.
Not the legacy is not going to be that these bad things happen and generational curses are in my family and I just deal with them. No, I'm turning that all around. I'm making this a legacy of positivity.
Mm-hmm. Not only that, I even have it set up so, through the Central Pennsylvania Community Fund, where if my children or their children don't decide that they want to do it, the Central Pennsylvania Community Fund is actually going to have this live on through them long after I'm gone. So I'm still going to be able to give scholarships to kids, even after I'm no longer on this earth. So I've had it set up, from the get-go with them. So that way, if that's something that should happen in the future and my kids and their kids decide that they don't want to do this, that the legacy will still live on through them.
Incredible. So they can go to soulsurvivorsfund.org. Now, the link in this episode is /donate. So the link in this episode /donate, you can donate right there on that page. We got to take a 60-second shout out for our sponsor. We come back, though. I want to ask you a deeper question of the advice you would give to a parent who has lost a spouse or a co-parent. What advice would you give to them as they have to go forward? They're forced to go forward with their kids on this journey. How would you help them along on this journey? We'll talk about that in 60 seconds.
Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're a growing tribe, a community of entrepreneurs all over the world, globally, all across the country, high performers, titans of industry. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to grow personally and professionally, scale your influence, develop your skill sets, move the needle in your business, more clients, more money, more profit, the bottom line, and of course, grow your circle and your network like never before, this is where you want to be. Join the Connected Leaders Academy today. We are scaling massively. We want to welcome you in. Check me out on Instagram and on Facebook, the @ JASCO25. We look forward to having you join us. Take care.
So, the advice you would give to a parent out there who has lost a spouse, or a co-parent who has lost that other part of the support system for their kids in their life, what advice would you pass along to them?
Lean on your village. So they always say about having it takes a village to raise a family. Well, they're not lying. Lean on the people that you know. I mean, I know that back whenever I lost mine, obviously I tried to think that I had to do it all on my own. Like I didn't have anybody that I could talk to. That's not true. Like lean on your friends. Your family. I mean, that's what they're there for. And heck, if you don't have anybody that you feel like you can talk to, go on my website. There's an email there. I mean, reach out to me. I'll be glad to talk to you. Even if it's just a voice sometimes to hear you, whenever you need to cry because you're having a bad day, it's okay. I'll be that voice on the other end of the phone. But lean on your village. Like reach out to people, ask for help. Don't be afraid to. It's not a sign of weakness. If you're asking for help. So just ask. And lean on the people that you've got around you because they do want to support you.
Yeah, isn't it? It's interesting. We know people are always there to help, but when you're going through a really hard time, I think, and then this is the enemy, right? The enemy will tell you you're all on your own. This is your journey, and nobody else can go through this. Now, it is your own personal journey that you go through and you figure out yourself, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't be reaching out for help. That doesn't mean somebody else hasn't gone through it, and they can help guide you through it, right? To help you avoid the pitfalls and the things that can happen. Because what's that?
I was just going to say that it's surprising. Like, so you think at the time, whenever it happens to you, that you're the only one that's ever going through it, but you don't realize how many people have already been through this. So through starting this organization, I have found and spoke to so many other people. I did not realize that there was that many people out there who had experienced loss just like I did, so it's just that you think you're the only one. And at the time you feel like you're alone, but you're not, so, I do recommend going out and talking to people, so like I said, use your village, but don't stay silent, talk to someone, don't let it eat you up inside.
Exactly. People have gone through this. They've experienced it. They are there. They want to help. People want to help, but you have to find them. You've got to find your tribe in situations like this. And this might be more of a difficult question, and you can share as much or as little as you want to. But when you were a kid and you lost your dad, how did you make it through that part? Because that, for a kid, what advice do you have for kids going through that? That's got to be so difficult.
When I was that young, so I can probably share this a little bit, but so when I was little, God gave me the gift of dreams. So I actually dreamt my father's death. And so as a kid, I thought that I caused it. And it wasn't until a couple of years ago, I went to this women's retreat in January with a friend of mine who was a former farmer's agent, just like I was. And at that retreat, I broke it off, it was my breakthrough right there because of the fact that, it wasn't my fault. Yes, I might have had the vision on there, but it was pretty much my dad maybe coming to say goodbye because, but at the time when I was little, I didn't know he committed suicide. I didn't know that until I was a teenager, so, it's not something that we really talked about, it was just dad died and that was it, he was a diabetic, he was, an alcoholic, he was a severely depressed person, so these are all things that, even myself, I battled some of those things, in my past, but that's my past, I leave it back there, I'm moving on, with, Jesus, I have found, peace that I haven't felt before. And I know sometimes, nobody's perfect, so, sometimes you just show yourself a little grace, from time to time you have to do that.
Mm-hmm. How close to it happening did you have the dream? Was it like close to one another?
It was the night that it happened.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I
Holy
woke
cow,
up in the
Billy
middle of
Joe.
the night, crying, hysterical. Because I remember this. I don't remember a whole lot from my childhood, but I vividly remember this. I remember because we lived in an apartment building down in Tyrone, because that's where I grew up. We were on the second floor, but our bedroom was on the third floor. I remember waking up in the middle of the night, bawling hysterically, coming down the stairs, telling mom that, that dad was dead, and basically she told me I was crazy and go back to bed. It was just a bad dream or whatever. So she gave me a drink and, took me back upstairs and told me to go back to bed. So I did, but I vividly remember the phone ringing shortly thereafter. And it was them calling to say that my dad had passed. So I guess he had taken an insulin overdose, and he was in a coma for a while. And we didn't get the telephone call until after he passed. It was not a good separation between my dad and my mom.
Boy, I'm so sorry. Wow. It's things like this. It is things like this that either make people or break people, right? And they might break you before they make you. But if you go through the breaking, I love the expression, are you buried or are you planted? And this is easy for me to say. I didn't go through this, right? But we all go through difficult things in our lives that seem like we're buried under insurmountable odds or insurmountable guilt, shame, fear, condemnation, whatever it might be. But if we, you and I are believers, right? If you believe that there is a purpose to your life, that you were created for a reason, and these things that were meant for evil are going to be used for good, then you can see yourself no longer as buried, but as planted.
Yep.
And when you're planted, now you just need the right ingredients to grow.
Yeah.
Right. So it sounds to me like you talk about breaking generational curses. It sounds like you said, you're breaking those generational curses, because that sounds like a burial to a planting. And now you are seeing the fruit of the planting, of the watering, of the nutrients that have come along over the years.
Yep. It's almost like whenever you get baptized, whenever they put you underneath the water, like buried and then, risen back to life, it kind of feels like that right now. So the soul survivor is me coming back to life. I'm letting all that stuff fall off of me. It's no longer holding me back, and then from this, I'm going to be able to help a lot of kids that, will just bring me great joy, and I always used to wonder, because I was always like, well, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, because I'm an insurance agent. I'm very, very passionate about that. I love what I do, but I always felt like there was more, and I feel like this is the more, so this is me being able to do exactly what I was created for. And I believe that this was it. I don't think it's going to end at this. I believe there's still going to be more,
This is just the beginning.
Exactly. So this is the beginning of what is yet to come.
Yeah, absolutely. You've just gotten it's like the planting and the growing, right? So you've just now grown into the nonprofit. Like, it has bloomed, it's blossomed. Here it is. That's just the start of it. That's just like the beginning stages of what's to come. So I'm so excited to see what comes from this. I'm so excited to just watch this journey that you're going through. And I want to read the mission. So the mission of the Soul Survivors Memorial Fund. And I think I want to share here for anybody who's watching. I can share my screen so they can actually see the screen for the Soul Survivors Fund while we're doing this. The Soul Survivors Memorial Fund, you can check it out right here, soulsurvivorsfund.org. But our mission is to connect with, support, and empower families who have suffered the loss of a parent or guardian and provide college scholarships to those who need it most. We're dedicated to filling the gap of support when a child of a soul parent or guardian is ready to start their future, and provide ongoing support for all types of families. So, as people might be watching or listening right now, I guess who, right? This is for anybody during this journey, whether it just happened or it happened 15 years ago. Is that right?
Yeah. Like right now, like obviously like the children that are graduating, but yeah, I'd like to be able to help anybody, so, cause sometimes like, I have a friend, who has, a couple of kids who I did when I originally, shared on my Facebook page that I was doing this, like they had commented, hey, this might help us. And I'm like, yeah, it will, so, like whenever, like I have the funds that come in, like, I mean, I want to be able to help people right away, not just at whenever they graduate high school, like, so, I mean, I want to be able to help them right away.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. And so if they want to get involved, they want to find out more, they can go to soulsurvivorsfund.org. The donate button is a link on this episode in the description. You can go down to donate right now. Billie Jo, is there anything else that I haven't talked about or we haven't covered that you want to include in this episode?
I don't think so. No. I mean, I maybe, like, if they can, maybe go send me messages through my Facebook, the Soul Survivors Memorial Fund,
Okay.
ideas and ways that you think I might be able to do fundraisers. So that's something that I'll always be looking for. So that's something I'm going to be doing here in the future.
Amazing. Well, this is powerful. Your story is very powerful, and I'm so glad that. I just want to like honor you in sharing it, because it's difficult to share difficult things. But the more we share our story, the less the story has power over us, and the more it has power to heal others and help others, and to help us move forward. So I just want to honor you in that. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for creating this platform and for being a part of the Unstuck movement.
Thank you.